Well, Donald Trump actually held a rally in Georgia on Saturday. We did a live stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And he actually sort of had some new material for once. You know, these Trump rallies have been the exact same material for a very long time. Communists and Marxists are taking over. The country is ruined unless you elect me, unless you re-elect me, unless you put me back in office, as the sort of shifting narrative has been. No one's making money anymore. You know, under Biden, you'll have to flush toilets 10 to 15 times. Hillary did bad stuff. The crowd chanting, lock her up, like a time machine back to the year 2015. So it was a lot of repetition, but he decidedly and notably added that we need to take our country back by winning in 2022. We predicted this. You predicted this. We all predicted this when we wondered, how long is this going to go on, right? In December, the Supreme Court will say it was actually Trump who won. It'll be overturned in January, and then January became March, which became April or August or, you know, whatever. We knew that eventually it would be, well, the midterms are coming up, and the way to take it back is just to win in 2022. That shift seems to have started, and we saw Donald Trump on Saturday start to focus on the midterms, in addition to calling Joe Biden a son of a bitch. Okay, we're going to get to that. Yes, a former president calling a current president a son of a bitch. It was deranged. It was loony. It was humiliating. It was pathetic. But this is a political movement with power, at least for right now. And they are shifting to 2022, and they could win in 2022. Trump praised the Border Patrol agents seen whipping Haitian migrants with horse reins. Remember, they said they weren't whips, so they weren't being whipped. Well, you could whip someone with a horse rein, and that's what they did. This is the exact type of rhetoric that fueled the El Paso shooter during Trump's presidency. Take a look.
Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants have overrun our borders in recent days while laughing in the faces of our Border Patrol agents. And they're going after the riders of the horses, not the people that came in illegally. Isn't that incredible? And they've just put them under watch. They're in big trouble, the riders of those horses. Most people would say they were doing one hell of a job, right? Don't you think? They're in trouble. Can you believe it?
So ramping up the red meat, the crowd tuning in and out, as they often do during these rallies, but really loving that type of stuff. And then Trump going very quickly into 2022. This is the new thing. Starting to talk about 2022 and Pelosi and more. This is the shift we predicted. This is the shift we've been waiting for. It's happening now.
Georgia is going to be a central battleground in our fight to rescue our beloved nation. You have great, great people running. Many of them are right here. Hello, Marjorie. With your help, we're going to take back the House and send Nancy Pelosi back to San Francisco, where she can work very hard to bring back a city which she has helped to very much destroy, just like they're destroying our nation. They're destroying our nation. We're going to fire your ultra-left-wing Senator Ralph Warnock and elect the great Herschel Walker to the United States Senate. And we're going to take back our country from these lunatics.
Now, of course, the question really should be, what happened to getting back in, right? The lawsuits, the fundraising. It was going to be December, January, March, April. That's just gone? I guess it is. Predictably so, but no questions being asked about what happened to all of that taking it back now stuff. Now, you might have thought, now that the Arizona audit showed that Joe Biden actually won Arizona by even more than originally reported, that Donald Trump would ease up on the voter fraud stuff. But no, Trump never does that. Trump never says, I joked with the live audience, guys, do you think Trump is going to say, hey, we got the real Arizona audit results? And it turns out Biden did win. I was wrong. Sorry about that. I was wrong. Biden did win. Of course not. Of course not. And Trump doubled down, and he actually floated the idea without any evidence whatsoever that maybe Barack Obama didn't really win in 2012.
And most presidents go down in the second term. Even if they win, they go down. Obama went down, way down. But he won. Or I don't know, maybe he won. Who the hell knows if he won? Nowadays, with these elections, who knows if he won? But he went down a lot, and he won.
So, of course, there's no evidence of that. But this is the game. If you're not sure who won 2012 as a Republican, then maybe Donald Trump really did win in 2020. That's kind of like the base level game that's being played here. And sadly, it has worked to capture the minds of tens of millions of these Trumpists. And unfortunately, Sam Harris actually had a very good piece. He got a question from a viewer about, hey, why don't you have on like Brett Weinstein and some of these people talking about ivermectin and all this stuff and debate them? And Sam made a really interesting point. Whatever you think about Sam Harris's politics, he said the problem with these debates where you have like a contrarian is that at any time they can say, but what about X? X could be anything. And if you don't know about X, to a lot of these folks that have fallen for the big lie, it comes off as, whoa, you're not ready to rebut X? Then the conspiracy theorist must be right. And this is why, as Trump went further and further into stuff and said, hey, there were 5,000 people about whom there was no record, for example, which is like really vague language. If you're not immediately ready with an answer, the types of folks that go to these rallies go, wow, 5,000 people with no record that they were supposed to be voting in that county. I don't even know what that means, but nobody's rebutting it. So it furthers these conspiratorial beliefs. So it's very hard to kind of like put them back put them back in the bottle, for lack of a better term. Trump even then mentioned, and this is just red meat, right, that he's never actually conceded 2020. Now, remember, concession is a mere formality, but it's another reminder to fire up the big lie people and the people who think maybe Trump will come back. Take a look.
Sir, a great pollster. So we got 63 million. He said, sir, if you go up 1 million votes, you can't lose. Well, we went up 12 million votes, and they say we lost. But there never has been, there never has been a concession. You do know that, right? You do know.
The crowd, including the strategically placed Blacks for Trump, who were on stage right behind Trump, really reacting to that one, as you could tell. The crowd tuning out for large portions of this, but getting pulled back in by xenophobia, getting pulled back in by the stuff about voter fraud, as Trump calls it. Now, in this next clip, Donald Trump actually admits that he called Brian Kemp in Georgia after the election and asked him to do a new election, a so-called special election, just because, why not, right? Maybe Trump would have won that one instead of Joe Biden.
News. But I said to these young people, let me handle it. I was going to show them how good I am. Let me handle it. I'll call them up. I said, Brian, listen, you have a big election integrity problem in Georgia. I hope you can help us out and call a special election, and let's get to the bottom of it for the good of the country. Let's get to the bottom of it for the good of your state. Let's go, election integrity. What could be better than that? Sir, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. I said, whoa.
Now, Kemp was right. You can't just say, I don't know, let's do another election because you don't like the results, sir. You can't do that. Kemp was right. Trump mentions Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. The crowd starts chanting, lock him up, and Trump says, yeah, we should look at that.
Officials also took $45 million from Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg to fund election-related activities. Well, they should be looking at that. What is that all about?
So completely dystopian, completely authoritarian. I am increasingly convinced that Facebook is a net negative for society, but lock up Mark Zuckerberg. It's the same type of authoritarian stuff that they claim to be for law and order and due process, except when it's the Trump rioters subjected to that process, they say, oh, no, just let them out and, whatever. And then when it's someone they don't like Mark Zuckerberg, just lock him up. Lock him up. What crime is even suspected of, guys? Trump also tried claiming that the Arizona so-called audit, which, remember, it confirmed that Joe Biden won, actually says Trump won. It's all lies. Take a look.
Yesterday, we also got the results of the Arizona audit, which were so disgracefully reported by those people right back there, and the headlines claiming that Biden won. That Biden won are fake news and a very big lie. You know, they like to, you ever notice when they write about that, they would say, well, the election results are a big lie.
Even the biased audit confirmed that Joe Biden won. And we're gonna talk about that. Trump then called for Arizona's 2020 results to be, quote, decertified. Sir, they just confirmed you lost. What are you talking about, decertification?
The total decertification. It is clear in Arizona that they must decertify the election. You heard the numbers. And those responsible for wrongdoing must be held accountable. It was a corrupt election.
Trump is the one responsible for the wrongdoing, and he should be held accountable, without a doubt. No Trump rally is really complete without some glitches and short-circuiting. Trump short-circuited on the word obliterating, came up with obliterating, just a little bit of the flavor and color.
But Joe Biden is obliterating. He's just obliterating.
Yeah. And then he also had a doozy of a time with military installations, which I guess instantations is the way he sees them.
Military institutions and their installations, and they have a lot of things surrounding.
Maybe he meant instantiation. Somehow I don't really think so. And then the former president also claiming that people are finally starting to say Merry Christmas. So the truth is no one really stopped. This is just that culture war stuff, but he did pull that out as well.
That too much. And you know, they are starting to say very strongly, Merry Christmas. Remember when I first ran? I said, you're going to say Merry Christmas. They're all saying Merry Christmas again. We better move fast because that'll end also like everything else.
Yeah, so again, the very interesting trend is we've talked about how the Republican Party has been totally devoid of policy for at least as long as Donald Trump has been at the forefront. You can tell in the reactions of the crowd. They get bored when Trump reads numbers or when he goes into anything that could be considered remotely policy-oriented, of which there's very little. It's not even really policy. It's just like lies about the policies you're ascribing to others. The crowd tunes out. They're interested in xenophobic stuff about it was great that the migrants were being whipped. They tune into voter fraud stuff. And they tune into the culture war stuff. We will say Merry Christmas, or we've been saying it thanks to me, or whatever. And then, like I said at the top, yeah, Donald Trump referred to Joe Biden as a stupid son of a bitch. Take a look.
Very hard, and they understood that. That's why I told you before, 18 months we didn't have one soldier killed, and even Biden said that. It was a mistake. He said, well, I will say that no soldiers have been killed in 18 months, and his people are screaming at him, don't say that, you stupid son of a bitch.
So again, the crowd really loving it, just absolutely loving that. So a wild rally, and listen, for now, it's clear Trump's going to be involved in 2022, depending on who wins and loses, depending on whether Republicans are seen as being strengthened by the midterms or further weakened. He will stay involved before that. We don't know yet. It remains to be seen, but there's lots and lots of work to do. And I do, to some degree, coincide with the Brian Stelter article we looked at earlier. I think all of this together, the resurgence of the rally, the Trump interviews, the escalated conspiracy theories being spread related to the election now that we're closer. I mean, listen, we're almost a year out, guys. I do think there's something brewing here. It may just be some really low information way to try to win the midterms. I don't know yet, but we're going to keep following it. And we'll have more on this on our Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show. One of our sponsors is Shaker and Spoon, the monthly cocktail subscription box, delivering ingredients and recipes for artisanal cocktails. I've been using Shaker and Spoon to make cocktails at home. The last two drinks I made were Citrus Paradisi, because I'm a big vodka fan, and Sea Fog with rum. The whole experience begins when you open the box. Everything looks really nice. They include all the ingredients you need except the alcohol with easy instructions. I've been really impressed with the results. Even if you know nothing about mixing drinks like me, you will have a ton of success creating the cocktails that Shaker and Spoon sends you. And you learn about mixology in the process and widen your horizons. It's the perfect thing to do for a date night. I've had a ton of fun with it. I think you will too. And you'll get $20 off when you use promo code Pacman at checkout. Go to shakerandspoon.com/Pacman. The link is down below.